Hey, welcome back to another edition of LFG. Michael Hyam here with Leanne Caruso. Thank you for joining us again. Leanne, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks
Hello,
for joining
Michael.
us again. How was your week, Leanne?
It was good. It was good. It was busy, but a lot of Olympics at the time of this recording, watching a lot of great athletes, which is fun. Something new to
Good.
watch.
Anyone
How about you?
specific that you want to highlight in the?
Well, obviously Simone Biles and Suni Lee from the gymnastics team, and they're pretty incredible. And the Ledecky swimmer, she swam like 15 minutes straight, and she beat like the next 18 scores. Like, that's her record. She's insane.
She was amazing.
Yeah. And then I'm loving the beach volleyball and the women's volleyball and rugby and all of that good stuff.
Good.
Anyway,
Good.
how about you?
No, unfortunately, I haven't had time to watch the Olympics. Some of us work,
Oh,
so.
I see. I see.
I did catch some of the judo and some other it's here and there, but nothing too crazy. The week, what happened this week? Oh my gosh, I honestly don't know because I have been nonstop.
You've been very busy.
Been like so crazy, but it's all good. It's all good. Let's not bore people with work. This week, this podcast, we have our friends Monty Miller and Madhav Supraneni. Madhav, sorry if I butchered your last name.
I've never asked him how to pronounce it, and I spell it wrong, I think, every time.
Yes. These are our friends from Orchatect, who are very smart individuals who know everything about technology and amalgamating, CRMs with QuickBooks and all kinds of different crazy stuff through tech stack and all kinds of stuff that I can't really talk to. Leanne, you want to talk to that?
I can't really talk to it either, but in full disclosure, I do sit on the Orchatect board, which I'm very honored that they asked me to participate. So I do know a little bit more than probably most, but yeah, it's a pretty cool software. It's basically they basically discovered that all these brands are operating on Google Spreadsheets, and so they figured out a way to bring all of the technology that you're using into one platform, and then giving you the data and a kind of actionable insights into being able to be more efficient, more profitable, and so on. So it's pretty cool.
How exactly does a franchisor work off of a spreadsheet? I'm failing to understand. I'm even failing to understand how they realize that franchisors, like, if I did that, do you think I would want to tell you that I do that?
Well, I have the unique opportunity of seeing the guts of many brands because I get to work with them. And there's quite a few that work on spreadsheets. And
really?
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here when we're talking about spreadsheets? I mean, of course, I'm in sales, so I naturally think of CRM software. What are we talking about? What are they talking about?
Well,
about
there's
finance. Are we talking about, like, what are we talking about?
QuickBooks, like pulling all of their franchisee locations, like pulling in their royalty information on spreadsheets, pulling in the CRM, the customer databases, the social channels. I mean, Orchatect works with QuickBooks, and so they can bring all of that stuff in too. And so it's just insane. And there's multiple spreadsheets that say multiple things. It's very frustrating, but I know that it gets very confusing. But as you start small as a small brand and then you grow, you keep operating on these spreadsheets, and so then there comes a time when you just need to rein it all in. And so there's great technology out there to be able to do that.
Phenomenal. Yes. And I know Orchatect deals with like all of that. So super excited to have them on this podcast in just a little bit. But let's get to it. Here's what's growing on. For those of you that don't know, what's growing is our segment about a little bit about what's happening in the industry workspace. This segment is sponsored by Northeast Color. Northeast Color specializes in brick and mortar branding solutions for the multi-unit and franchise industries. Their years of experience producing branded interior and exterior signage for national chains of all sizes and varieties ensures that your locations will launch on time and on budget, maintaining brand consistency with an eye toward maximum impact.
Cool.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on? So I love me some McDonald's, but they're testing its biggest burger ever. Here's where the nearly 1 pound big arch is available. And I think they're testing it over by you in Canada and Portugal. It's a new burger that weighs almost a pound. It has 2 beef patties, melted cheese, crispy toppings, and a tangy sauce that the company's biggest burger ever. In international markets this year, they added that McDonald's plans to learn from these test runs before eventually rolling it out to a larger demographic.
Love it. I mean,
why do we have a lot of news about burgers?
I don't know.
Chicken wings.
I just, yeah, I haven't been to a McDonald's in forever. But yeah, we'll have to get to one at some point, you know?
Yeah, one day.
One day. Actually,
I'll have
the
my
last
son try
time
it.
I had McDonald's, I was in Israel.
Oh,
It was a kosher McDonald's. And
cool.
you know, the funny part is that this is the beauty of franchising. It's exactly like the McDonald's I remember. Like
Right.
to the T, everything tasted exactly the same, and it was fantastic. And that was the last time I had a McDonald's many years ago.
That's pretty cool. Anytime we're together, you always invite me to a lovely kosher dinner. So next time I would, let's do kosher McDonald's.
Next time you'll invite me to McDonald's. Thanks, Leanne. All right, moving on. Okay, so Matt Haller of the IFA, for those of you that don't know, Matt Haller is the president of the International Franchise Association. He attended the Republican National Convention, and we had read an interesting article that he had 4 big takeaways. I think he just posted it on LinkedIn actually very recently. So to be clear, IFA is nonpartisan and does not take sides in presidential campaigns, which by the way is a little bit crazy because we all know which side we should be on. Just kidding. They will be in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention, and they work with anyone from any party who champions our priorities and fights for our franchise small business owners. Okay, and so the 4 takeaways, the first one was unions and franchising are not incompatible. So, you know, funny, me on part of what I also do is, of course, produce franchise trade shows. And so I know exactly what it's like to work with the Teamsters and to work with unions. And a lot of the times it can be difficult because the amount of money piles up and things that you got to pay towards and things you might not necessarily want to pay towards. But of course, you know, there's work to be done, and these people are the ones who know how to do it. And so I thought that that was an interesting takeaway for sure. Leanne, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're not necessarily going to agree with the Teamsters on or other unions on much, but they do agree that that they can focus on creating good jobs right here in America, and that's what franchising community is doing. So I think I can see how they're not incompatible, not compatible.
No, they're not. And actually, I mean, they're super duper nice people.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them work so hard, and so that was an interesting talking point because I mean, I agree with it. His other talking point, there's a few of them, 4 of them we said a bit earlier, but franchising is realigning party lines. Leanne, what did you take away from that one, or do you want me to hit it?
Well, I think what they're trying to say here is that Donald Trump is receiving as high as a 30% of the black vote, which is nearly 3 times higher than the 12% that he earned in 2020. So franchising has such an important role to play in terms of higher business ownership among women, veterans, minorities. So I think that they're trying to say that, you know, as we continue to get the minority vote for the Republican Party that franchising also has the same mission for more minorities in business.
100%. Exactly. Third point was JD Vance has sided with franchising in the past. So when it comes to franchise issues, particularly joint employer, Senator Vance sided with franchising. Hopefully, VP, or sorry, are we bipartisan or we're nonpartisan, or we can just say our minds? Oh, sorry. I'm
You're in
reminding myself
Canada.
of the unfiltered. Yes, I know. This Canadian's viewpoint. So when the stakes were at the highest during the spring's repeal of the joint employer rule, Vance stood with us, franchising people, and that is telling. I think that if they happen to get into power, where that will kind of go towards for franchising. And I kid you guys, I'm a centralist myself, so you can't hate me on either side. Sorry, and finally, okay, this is dragging on too long. The fourth thing was the next president will have a huge impact on franchising. Leanne, what did he mean by that?
So basically, he's saying that beyond the tax issues, the next president will choose their own FTC chair who can in turn update the franchise rules, something that hasn't happened since 2007, which is the same year the first iPhone was introduced. And we'll make appointments to the NLRB, including the general counsel, who is the most powerful position at that agency, arguably. And the stakes are high for franchisors and franchisees alike. So I think that's what Matt's trying to say there.
Love it. Well, let's hear what he has to say when he comes back from the DNC, and we'll see how we'll report on that one too.
Yes, we have to be bipartisan, right?
Yeah, no, we don't have to anything, but yeah. I mean, because we are bipartisan, we will. Yes.
I have one more little piece of news to share that I thought this was pretty cool, and I'm sharing it because it's our good friend Allie Krause over at Benetrends promoted this on LinkedIn earlier about a new book loop. It's a group that she created on LinkedIn that if you post a book about a book that you liked and the reason you liked it, then you can respond to it, and the person who shared that book will send it to you. And then so it's kind of like this, so your books just don't have to sit and do nothing. And I think that's a really cool idea, because I hate reading a book and then it just sits there. And then nothing happens to it on the shelf. And so now somebody else can enjoy it. And also shout out, I always wear some sort of franchising shirt on this podcast because I've collected 532. But Allie made this shirt for me a few years ago, and it's on a franchise high. So,
aww.
And her birthday is tomorrow. So
no way,
but not at the time of this podcast comes out.
Very cool.
Her birthday will have long passed and she'll be old.
Yes, I did see the book thing, and I like it. I mean, I was a little
cool idea.
I love the idea, but I mean, yeah, I do like it a lot. I do like it a lot.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool. So if you want to share what's going on in your world, then feel free to send us an email to podcast@franchiseassembly.com. And we will, we may or may not share what you have to say if we like it or we don't like it. Just kidding. Feel free to share, and we will try our best to get it out. So before we head into our Franchise Royal segment, here is a message from our friend Karen Wenning. Karen is made reference to Karens. She is not a Karen. She is just Karen Wenning of
got
Subtle
called
Stress.
out on LinkedIn.
I was totally called out. And no, Karen, we never did not think you were a Karen. And I had no idea that you lived in California. Does she live in California?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, bipartisan Michael Hyam logging off. Play that ad, Leanne.
Franchisors love Subtle Strauss because we protect their brand standard across all marketing channels. Z's love our marketing platform because they can customize, print, download, and mail brand right collateral for their local market in minutes. Want to see how it works? Connect with me, Karen Wenning, on LinkedIn.
All right, so this is our Franchise Royal segment. This is where we highlight someone or something or some brand who's doing something cool on LinkedIn that we generally notice. So Michael, who is your Franchise Royal this week?
So You know, I was going to actually say someone with the initials CF because I saw that news yesterday. But you know, in my all omnipresent thought process, I had the feeling that you were going to take that that person, and so I came up with somebody else who I adore and love, and I was so glad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love CF, and I'll let you say who that is. But I wanted to say congratulations to our good friend Madeline Zook.
Ah, good one.
Maddie announced yesterday that, and of course, this is a couple of weeks ago because we're recording this, that she is starting on with Rolling Suns. She's joining Aaron and JT of Rolling Suns to be their senior vice president of marketing. Maddie, congratulations.
Yay.
Tilt your crown
Great
a
your
little to the
crown.
left.
Yes, so exciting. I'm so proud of her. Love that. And so my CF, my franchise royal, if anybody hasn't guessed yet, is Cassidy Ford, who is also announcing a new position. She is now the director of franchise development at Eversmith Brands, and I am so very happy for her and Maddie. So congratulations to both of you. You are the franchise royals of the week. The big winners.
Don't try to throw in Ann Maddie. You didn't think about her, okay? Yeah.
Stop.
Maddie, the love is coming from this side of the board.
All right. Well, before we get started on our show and tell segment, please take a moment to learn about our brand new sponsor, Orchatect.
Are you managing multiple franchise locations? Meet Maestro by Orchatect, your ultimate business intelligence solution. Gain a centralized view of your entire network, leverage predictive analytics, and make data-driven decisions to boost productivity and profitability. Seamlessly integrate with QuickBooks and automate tasks like royalty payments. Trusted by successful franchises, Maestro transforms operations across retail, healthcare, education, and sports. Visit Orchatect.com and take your franchise to the next level.
Woo! All right. Okay. Time for our show and tell segment. This is the segment where we invite industry experts and friends and colleagues who tell us all good things about what's happening in the franchise industry. And in this case, we're talking about technology. So we've got our friends from Orchatect and super excited to have you guys here.
Love it. Monty, Madhav, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, go for it. So I'll just jump in there. So we provide a business management solution in a single pane of glass that incorporates and integrates all of your point of sales, accounting, CRM, learning management tools, and allows business owners to actually understand what's going on in their business so that they can be successful and use the same processes and tools for all their locations.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest need we see in this space is technology is growing and expanding at a very fast pace lately. And for most brands, the challenge is while you're focused on the front end of your product, whether it's a burger or kids service or car washing, the challenge is how do you grow and scale by keeping the back end software systems running, right? So you need those to work fluidly. And the way to do it these days is you need a system that can pull the different platforms, the solutions together to help enable you to grow and scale.
Love it. And so now I know you touched on it a little bit, but so tell us what was the driving force behind creating a solution for brands with multiple locations? Like, what are you seeing in the marketplace that made you guys create something like this?
It largely came from our background in telecom. So, we designed, built, optimized, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and those in the US. And what we noticed is a lot of these different systems and architecture, none of these tools and systems talk to each other. There was no orchestration, and it was really difficult to use these complicated tools. So it was really a matter of simplifying all of the processes and tools and systems they're using, but then getting off Excel spreadsheets. Quit using Excel spreadsheets to manage your business. How do you take information from this system and make it apply here? So you understand performance, insights, trending, all of that comes with it. And how do you do that and make it very affordable so you can grow and scale your business? So it's really about us wanting to help this whole market, because there's a better way to do this, a much cheaper way to do it with much better results.
What are you guys seeing in the marketplace? Like when you come into these brands, because I know that I've been in many brands where they're just managing their business off a spreadsheet, which is off multiple spreadsheets, which is insane. And like some of the spreadsheets all say the same thing and have different pieces of info. It's so frustrating. So what are you seeing, like when you go into these business, like what solutions are you able to solve to help avoid that?
It's really about automation of some of these manual tasks, right? And when you're managing that spreadsheet, you've got, depending on the user, or you might have information that's in error. When you automate and use your point of sales and your accounting system and CRM to actually understand how the business is performing, the time savings and the effort, you can spend minutes in here versus hours. And that's the first part of it. The second part is like, once a brand understands that, okay, I've got my locations and they're organized, how do I increase my profit? How do I improve my efficiency? And you can actually compare locations against each other to see who's performing well and who's not, what those best practices are. And you can do that in minutes. So you're spending the early part of your day understanding what needs to be done, and then spending the rest of the day helping your brand, helping the franchisees, and leading them into a better place as a business person.
I love it.
I have a trick question. Sorry, I'm jumping in, Michael. What does Orchatect even mean?
It stands for orchestrated architecture. And the whole point about it is that, so there's so many fragmented systems and tools and platforms out there that orchestration is a valuable key component to making all of this work. But it's orchestrated architecture is really what it stands for, with a solution architect role put in there. So we work as your partner to make sure that you have the best solution for your brand, because it's, platforms and solutions are not one size fit all. They have to be customized for your specific brand to help you succeed.
So who's the conductor?
Oh, you ruined it. I was going to say, I was going to
okay.
ask, actually, people ask us about our logo all the time with our two-headed, our one-headed
Lion.
split-faced lion. And how did you guys come up with the maestro?
Go ahead, Madhav.
If you look at a conductor in an orchestra, the way a conductor manages multiple instruments. So each instrument by itself makes music. If you try to put them together and they're not in sync, then it's noise. But a conductor manages the different instruments to play at a certain time in tune, in pace, and now you have beautiful music. It's the same way we manage multiple software systems to work in tune with each other. So at the end of the day, you're actually getting those deep insights from across all the systems you need within your tech stack.
Right. It's a business symphony is what we're calling it.
I love it.
So yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Another question. So the multiple systems. So I think that one thing to clarify about what you guys do, because I didn't understand this either, but the multiple systems that you manage, you don't create a text. You don't have, I'm trying to explain this. You don't have a technology that is doing all of these things. You are managing multiple technologies that the brand already has and putting it into one platform.
Exactly.
I think that's an important point of distinction.
Absolutely. That's where the orchestration engine. So we don't come in and replace a POS. We don't replace your QuickBooks. We don't replace your LMS. We work with what you already have in your systems and connect them together and bring them into a central pane of glass, so to speak.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes a lot more sense. And so how does that help franchisee efficiency and unit economics?
So when you're tying in your, let's say your point of sale system, you're tying in your QuickBooks. Now what the system allows you to do is to take, let's say, your costs from accounting and then your revenue from point of sales, and then you merge those two and you get operating profit margin, right? So how do you take two different systems? If a brand is not diligent enough to update the revenue into QuickBooks, but you're only using QuickBooks for accounting and for labor and costs, but your revenue is coming from a POS. Typically what happens is you take the two data dumps, put into Excel, and now you're doing calculating operating profit margin. The Maestro will take, since it's already connected to the POS and connected to accounting, will do real-time operating profit margin evaluation and tell you which location is performing at the benchmark, which one is below the benchmark. But all of this is happening instantaneously, right? So as you're making a sale and as this thing gets updated, you can see everything else. So that's how you can manage or merge two different systems to get one financial KPI.
Well, and so does it have to, so you work with any software and you try to make it work, or is there specific platforms that people have to be on? I know franchising is, I'm sure you work with outside of franchising too, but are there many different softwares that you work with?
There are many. So as long as the software has APIs and webhooks, then we can pull the data. So that's the main criteria. And yes, we do work outside the franchise space as well, but any software that allows us to pull the data from is somebody we can integrate and work with, because it gives the ability back to the franchisee to start changing if they need to change an LMS or a POS at some point during their journey. Because if you look at a brand, as a brand is growing and scaling through its life cycle, at different times of its life cycle, it will update its own software. Today, they may be using Square and they decide to go to Toast. From Toast, they may go to somewhere else. But having the orchestration engine allows the brand to make the decision on their peripheral devices while keeping the core data intact within the Maestro platform. That flexibility now helps them break out of a fixed ecosystem, and now their tech stack becomes very customized to their particular brand and can change depending on where the brand is.
Yep, and to add to that, if you have a 2 or 3 different point of sale systems within a brand as you've grown, we can actually bring those in via orchestration into one and then evolve that into a much simpler solution. So it's really about being easy to use, simple to use, and that orchestration is a huge boon for the efficiency of that location and that brand. So you can work as a team. Everybody's using the same tools, processes, and systems to be effective.
What kind of franchise, what is an ideal industry for you, or what's an ideal brand or size brand? Like what would be an ideal client for you? All of them?
Yeah, good question. It depends. So we like to really start working with mid-sized brands because we're able to influence and help them with a tech stack, right? A lot of young and emerging brands don't know what we don't know. We all don't know everything, but helping them understand the value of consistency and getting in the FDD and making sure that every single franchisee is using the same tech stack helps them grow and scale faster as well, right? So that's where we make our biggest influence. Now, when it comes to the big boys, like let's say the Ben and Jerry's of the world, right? In their cases, they're so, I wouldn't say stuck, but they're so fixed in how they're doing business with their old legacy systems. They have to go through a digital transformation sometimes to be able to bring up and update what they're using. That's a different solution that we have to solve with them. And it's a longer sales cycle, but depending on where they are, they also need the help.
Yep. And what's really fun throughout this journey in working with emerging brands and existing brands, that digital transformation journey isn't as difficult as they fear, right? And what we always find with those clients that have done that is like, oh, we should have done this 2 years ago because this has been a fantastic change to our business. Now we can grow and scale. Maybe we can go international. It opens up all these other options for them, and it's really exciting for us to see our clients get excited about growing their brands.
That's great. And so, sorry, a quick trick question here then. Have you ever worked with or considered, I mean, because obviously you guys now, dealing with all the different brands, know what is the most efficient. Have you started with talk to anyone from the ground up as to what they should use to, grow themselves before they even start? Because maybe you should be the the first place where people visit before they decide what softwares they want to use.
Yeah, a lot of times we do take on the role of a consultant, right? Technology consultant. I mean, we're all ex-consultants anyway. But yes, It is, if somebody comes to us and says, what do I use for my tech stack? Obviously, we can give them or advise them on what is the best tech stack based on what vertical within the franchise world they want to do, right? So it becomes, now for us, having seen all the different softwares, we can come and say, okay, this is your ideal tech stack, use this, and this, and you're off, you can go to market quickly. So they don't have to think about, oh, do I talk to QuickBooks? Or do I talk to the POS? Or do I talk to this? I can just say, Orchatect, what is my preferred tech stack for my business in QSR or in ice creams or in kids education? We can tell them, here's your tech stack, and you can go to market in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that part is fantastic and fun, and helping them understand their business. That's the consultancy part, but being able to find the right tools and third-party systems along with the Maestro to move forward. It's different for every brand, and that's the experience that we bring in to help them understand that maybe Square or Toast or Clover isn't the best option. Maybe if you're a salon, you use something like Mevo. So we really are very conscious about applying the best solution or system for their needs as a company. Because in franchising, it could be services, it could be salons, it's retail, food and beverage, education, medical. I mean, it runs the gamut. So being able to affect those appropriately and give them the right guidance is fantastic, because their success is our success, and we practice that every day.
Okay, so I have another trick question. We keep having trick questions, straying from our questions here, but we've talked about this, and people say to me or to you even, we love our Orchatect. We love the Orchatect guys, but we don't know what they do. So you have an audience right now, and I know that we're working on a lot of that stuff, but you have an audience right now. Like, if you could say, we solve these 3 main challenges for brand, what would you say those 3 challenges are?
Monty,
to simplify it.
Absolutely. It's really about simplifying the business, doing the digital transformation, and getting away from the Excel spreadsheets so that they can manage and operate and grow and scale their business. What do? We help solve the pain points, things that are bottlenecks or barriers to business for some of these brands. Let's get rid of those so you can grow and scale. And we've got customer examples that we're working with right now where a emerging brand may be stuck at one location because this piece hasn't been figured out. Let's figure that out so they can get to 10 locations that first year. And it's things like that. So we're really on the tech side, the solution side, helping them perform well in that area, because what they're good at and their piece is growing that brand and training their people, et cetera. So we're just enabling and giving them the tools to do so that they can measure, monitor, report after the fact to know how well or how badly they're doing.
It's great.
Simplify your technology stack so you can grow and scale with the Maestro.
Simple. So
with actionable insights.
Yes. Well done. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys, I mean, we're obviously big fans of yours, and I love the technology, and I think it's really important that these brands stop operating on Google spreadsheets or spreadsheets.
Yes.
So just trying to get the word out that you're here and then you're in franchising and you have a great product and service, and I think that that's great. So, and you keep building onto it. And so what kind of new stuff do you have coming out?
Yeah, so we have a couple of new functionalities and features, and the good thing is we actually have brands who come to us and ask us to build some of these things out, right? As the user, they can tell us exactly what they want, and we can build it for them. So a couple of cool things that we're going to be releasing very soon is we have something called RPMA. It's a mouthful. It's basically royalty payment management automation. So we not only just calculate the royalties on a monthly basis, based whether it's weekly or monthly, based on royalty rules. We also create statements, but we go the next step. So now we actually have our own payment gateway. So the franchisor can collect the franchise royalty fees from the Z, or the Z can offer to pay through the payment gateway to the ZOR. So you can collect the royalties, and then we can also update and automate the royalty calculation number into the ZOR's QuickBooks. So the entire process of automated calculations, statement generations, the invoicing, collecting the money, and updating your QuickBook records happens almost within seconds.
Single click. It's all about automation of those manual processes. But to Madhav's point, a lot of our clients were asking for that because their financial people were spending hours every week or every month, sometimes days, depending on the number of locations, to complete this. And it's been a boon for us. So we're so excited to show this to people because it's a huge time saver, huge money saver, and will help them grow and scale faster. And that's just one of the modules that we have that people love.
The other one we're releasing pretty soon is order management. So this is a request again from a lot of brands that we work with. So a lot of brands have proprietary products that can only be bought by the ZOR, right? It could be a spice blend, it could be swag, it could be products that they have to sell that can only be placed through the ZOR. So typically what happens is you're sending an email request to the ZOR saying, I need 10 pieces of this product, I need 2 packets of this. And the ZOR is consolidating all the requests either through email and putting on a spreadsheet and trying to manage that. We are creating order management where the Z in the Maestro can go and select the items they want, price of the destination, we'll price it out, ship it out, do the taxation, and put all of that into a single pane of glass for the ZOR, so you can quickly see who ordered what from which locations, how many of what went this week or this month. And over time, you'll be able to start predicting so that you will know even on the inventory warehousing side, how much do I need for my brand for this quarter or for next quarter? So that now eliminates the trying to keep track of your emails and trying to keep track of your spreadsheets, and you're able to manage and forecast, because that's just one section, right? The ZOR also has to place their order with their end suppliers, right? And that's another lot of work that the ZOR has to maintain. By automating this entire process, we can go from Z to ZOR to supplier in one stretch and eliminate all the emails and the phone calls and have them streamline this workflow end to end. So that's another cool thing that we're excited about.
Now, can you have someone like replace sales function too?
No. That's the sales function. I mean, we don't want to replace you, Michael, but hey, annoyed.
All right. But I'll ask you a better question. One of our slogans for the podcast is, brought to you from both sides of the border. Of course, Leanne, being closer to you, and I'm a bit further north. Is the Maestro limited to the mainland area of the United States, or do you guys assist Canadian franchise brands as well?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we definitely work with Canadian franchise brands. We're excited to be sponsoring the Let's Grow conference in Canada this November.
Boom.
So yeah, it's gonna be a blast. So coming into Canada, beware. We'll be there. There's definitely a couple of things we have to be aware of. So, for example, item 19 and item 20, which are requirements here in the US, may not be a requirement in Canada, right? So we automate item 19 and item 20 on our side. So if in Canada item 19 is not a thing, then we remove it from the functionality. So there's certain things we can, because we're more modular, it allows us to be much more flexible on offering. It's not just saying, okay, here's an entire package, take it, right? Depending on the requirements of a country or the requirements of the franchise association, we can change and plug and put the right pieces of your tech stack together depending on where you are.
Yep. And we're not just limited to North America, right? So we were expanding actually into the Central America region via Guatemala and Dominican Republic. And then there's opportunities in Australia that we're doing. So the Maestro solution is a fully international solution. There's no boundaries there. So we're quite excited about that because there's so many of these franchise brands that are international, and we can help them with that piece of it as well.
I love it. That was fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for coming on and explaining to us, technology and tech stack, and everything is constantly evolving and changing. So it's always good to have people who understand what's actually happening in the marketplace.
Absolutely. And we appreciate your time and support, and love the background too, Michael.
Yeah, that's great. Leanne, hey, while we're talking about the background, Leanne, what did you learn today?
Oh, what did I learn today? I learned that there's ways to manage business without doing spreadsheets, and that you can automate multiple software technologies in one tech stack and put them all in one and then have actionable insights. Wow.
I mean,
Good for you.
Michael.
That's a, you're,
and even reputation management
love
can
it.
pulled in as well, right? How do you
Right.
respond to comments on Facebook without having to log into a different system when you can run everything through the Maestro itself?
Yeah, you can automate your processes. Then you have time to do what Michael's doing right now.
For those of you who are just listening on Spotify and not on YouTube, Michael just poured himself a shot at 11 a.m. on a Friday.
I was
That's
going
right.
to toast to our friends who are presenting sponsors of Let's Grow Canada. If you want more information on Orchatect, you better be coming to Let's Grow Canada in Toronto in November.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Cheers,
Cheers
buddy.
to all those who don't have a shot.
That's amazing. Thanks, guys. We
Good
really
for you.
appreciate having you on, and we're excited. What are you speaking on at Let's Grow Toronto?
We'll be talking about the advantages and the importance of a franchise tech stack. Like when do you have to identify it? Why is it valuable? How early in the stages of your brand should you be looking at it? And if you're already advanced in the brand, how can you use technology to further grow and scale your business while keeping the insights of the company together? So now it's impacting profitability.
That's great. All right. Well, thanks for coming
Love it.
on. All right. So
Thank you.
for everyone who's listening, if you liked what you heard, please leave a 5-star review. It helps us grow. Also, please subscribe on Spotify and or YouTube. We'll see you in a couple weeks for more unfiltered news and education from both sides of the border. In the meantime, here's what's on our calendar for our final segment, Franchise Mingle, brought to you by the National Franchise Show. Michael, what events are you going to?
Well, yeah. I'm going to a lot of events, but what do we have coming up? So we have on the same weekend the Tampa and Toronto franchise shows. I can't be in two places at one time. So Leanne, so glad for stepping in and going to the Toronto franchise show. I'll be at the Tampa franchise show, and our friends at Orchatect will also be in Toronto.
We're all switching spots.
Craziness. It's like as if we're drinking at 11 in the morning. I don't know. Outside of Tampa and Toronto, then we do have Philadelphia, Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Pasadena all coming up for the National Franchise Show. If you are expanding and looking for quality franchisee candidates, then reach out and we can tell you a bit more about the National Franchise Show. We also have the IFA Advocacy Summit happening in September, along with Springboard in Philadelphia, also in September. Our friends at FBR are having their Operations Summit in October. And then Let's Grow Canada, presented by Orchatect, is coming up November 6th and 7th in Toronto. We also have our mastermind retreat in Asheville, North Carolina, happening early December. For those of you who don't know, we also run a mastermind group with peer advisory sessions for marketing and franchise development. So definitely reach out to us if you like continued education. And then finally, we have Let's Grow in Dallas, which is happening February 2nd to the 4th for all the U.S. franchisors that are out there. And our friends at Orchatect will also be in Let's Grow USA.
Good. All right. Well, I'll see you at almost all of those.
Yes.
All right. This episode is brought to you by Orchatect, our new podcast sponsor. Thank you. Northeast Color, Subtle Strauss, the National Franchise Show, and Franchise Assembly. See you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you.